Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dean, and today we'll be doing the 6 reasons why I switched to Sony. Also, links are below if you want to subscribe, as well as links to everything that I've used in this video or talk about. So let's go. The first camera I had was back in 2010, which was a Sony. It wasn't really a professional camera, it was more of a point and shoot. I don't remember the exact name right now. I think I still have it, but not on right now to show. But I might put the name on the screen. But that was my first camera. It wasn't really like a professional camera, it was just a point and shoot with, you know, those back in the day camera that usually zoom and all of that. That was back in 2010. And my first DSLR was a Nikon D5500 with the flip screen, touch screen, all of that. That was my first camera at the time when I started out. I started out as a hobby, and I was mostly doing stills. I didn't do video, so for me that camera was perfect to start out with. As time went by, I decided to upgrade to the Nikon D750, you know, with the battery grip, and I had a Sigma 85mm 1.4. I had the Nifty 50. I had basically a lens that came with it as well, which is the 24 to 105. No, I think it's the 24 to 120. One of them. I got that with it as well. So those were the lens that I had at the time. So I was mostly shooting stills, so Nikon was perfect for me. But as time went by, I became more of a hybrid shooter. So with doing a YouTube channel and with doing things like music videos and venturing more into videos, I decided that Nikon wasn't enough. So hence I decided to get another camera, which was the Sony A7III. Not the R3, sorry, I wish. It's actually the Sony A7III. So now to get into the reason why I switched. The first reason I switched was the video quality. At the time, Nikon didn't have a 4K camera that could offer me 4K as well as 1080 at 60 frames at 120 frames. The most Nikon was doing was 1080p at 60 frames, which is okay. But for me, moving into doing more videos, I tend to want to have better quality than just 1080p. So I decided that I needed 4K and I needed you know, a better slow motion quality and a better overall video, and you know, being able to shoot like things like S-Log2, Cine 4, different things, to basically get different qualities or different be able to color grade or have the ability to grade my footage to a certain level. I decided that I just needed a different camera. Yeah, so my second reason is the autofocus. For any DSLR Nikon user, you'll notice that when the camera is actually focusing, there's this focus hunting during video, as well as during photos. You know, having the eye autofocus in Sony, that's like a game changer for me, because now I'm able to, you know, have more faith in my camera to know that I'll get the focus on the high at, you know, every time I shoot. So for me, I had a Nikon, as I said before, I had the Nikon D750 and the Sigma 85 1.4, but I rarely shot at f1.4. The reason being is that I didn't trust the camera enough to get the focus on the eye, or I didn't want to miss focus, especially when I'm doing paid work. So I often shot at like f1.8 or f2 while using the 85mm, which for me was a waste, because you know, I bought the Sigma 85 millimeter f1.4 art, just for the fact that it could shoot so that wide. So I don't think I trusted the Nikon enough to shoot at 1.4. But now with the Sony, with the whole autofocus thing, I'm able to be sure, so I can shoot less photos knowing that I have the focus on the eye. So yeah, that was a major factor. The Nikon, when the Nikon is focusing during video, it focuses on, as well as if you're doing a video on the Nikon and you're recording audio on camera, then you tend to get these weird sounds of the lens actually zooming. So you actually hear the motors in the lens moving to zoom, to focus. If you notice on the Sony right now, if I do this, it focuses on my hands, and then when I move it, it focuses back on me. And if you notice how smooth that was, for the Nikon you will actually see it focus on things, jumping front and back, trying to figure out what to focus on. So for me, getting the Sony for this type of level of focusing was awesome. The third reason is the size. The Nikon D750 with the battery grip and the Sigma 85 1.4 art, that was a pretty big setup. So going to places and taking out that to say that I'm going to take photos, it was obvious that I was actually doing that, and it actually looked like I was doing maybe more than I was actually doing sometimes. So having a smaller camera, it's easier to conceal and easier to get into places that are not so friendly to photos and videos being taken, and sneak out one pic in a video and not look that obvious. I remember one time it was at UE. A friend of mine was at UE shooting, and I decided to join her just to test out my camera. And she was there maybe shooting maybe half hour to an hour before I came. When I went there, immediately as I took out my camera, put on my lens and everything, ready to start shooting, my security came up to me and told me that I had to go to the basically the front desk to get approval to shoot any production work or anything like that. And I was like, my friend was actually here like half hour to an hour before me, so I was kind of shocked to know that as soon as I pulled out my camera, there was an issue, whereas my friend was actually doing something before. So that is where a smaller camera comes in. Whereas so especially if you're doing natural light, then popping out a smaller camera as the Sony A7III with, like, say for example, even the 50mm, even the 85mm 1.8 is not really that big for the Sony, so it wouldn't look that obvious, or it wouldn't look like you're doing that big of a job if you're doing a job or if it's just for fun, so it's the sizing is also a factor. The fourth reason is lens compatibility. For me, using the Nikon, I was always trying to find ways of possibly adapting other lens to the Nikon, because I knew other persons were maybe shooting Canon or some other brands, so I was often searching for converters or adapters to adapt other lenses to my Nikon. And in searching for those, I realized that there wasn't any good reviews on adapters to get different types of lenses on my Nikon. So that for me was also a factor, because I would love to know that at least there was some other lenses apart from the ones that were built specifically for Nikon that I could convert. So there were converters, but as I said, after doing reviews, watching videos, there wasn't really a solid one that I could say, all right, this can allow me to use a Canon lens or a Sony lens, and it would give me comparable quality, I guess, or you feel. With the Sony now, I can actually get a converter and actually use Canon lenses on it, and it doesn't work flawlessly, but at least I have that option of getting a converter, knowing that if I'm on a set and have other persons with different camera brands, I can actually use an adapter to get to basically use other lenses. So that for me was a plus. Number 5 is price or cost. So I love Nikon for taking stills, but as I say, for me it didn't cut it as it relates to the videos. So what I had done before was I bought a Sony A7III to use for videos, and then use my Nikon for my photo work. But looking at the bigger picture, looking down the line, I realized that wouldn't work due to the price or due to the cost. So I would often have to be looking for like which lens would be the best for my video work, and then I would have to be able to be looking at the Nikon and say, alright, which lens would be best for my photo work. And in some cases, both those lenses are the same focal lenses. So for example, a 35mm. I wanted a 35mm for photos, and then now I also wanted a 35mm for video as well. So needing the two, I realized that it wasn't possible to So realizing that because I shot Nikon, so because I needed the same focal length in some cases for both photos and videos, and it wasn't cost efficient, or it wasn't, in my opinion, budget. My budget couldn't really manage buying a 35mm for photos and then buying a different 35mm for videos, because one camera is Nikon and one is Sony. So having one camera brand that does it all basically allows me to just buy one set of lens, and knowing that whatever lens I buy can basically work on both of my cameras. So price is also a factor. And also me switching to the Sony A7III specifically was due to cost. It was basically the best full frame mirrorless camera that with those specs in terms of videos and photos that I could get for the cost. So number 6 is the ease of use. By no stretch of the imagination is the Sony menu actually good. It's total crap. It's confusing. There's so many tabs, so many different pages. It's just confusing. It doesn't look nice to me. But you can always store favorites to the different options that you use frequently, and that way you get to use them. You get quick access to them. But for me, the ease of use comes in where you have those custom buttons. So the Sony A7III has 3 custom buttons, right? Those custom buttons, I can set them to any menu option that I want, as well as I can customize a lot of the other buttons on the back to different functions. Also on the dial, there are 2 pre-made settings that I could set up on the camera. No, currently I have one set to I think 4K, 24 frames per second, and I have two set to 1080p at 120 frames. So to be able to just at the click of a dial be able to switch between 4K and slow motion, that to me is very good, because using my Sony, if I'm moving from video to photos and there are some video settings that I needed to change, I would have to go into the menu and scroll through, try to find the video quality, change that, and you know. So for me, though, being able to set the buttons to different things that you want, set the button to things that you want is very good, and it makes the camera very easy to use and easy to access different options. Another thing is the EVF, being able to EVF, which is really the electronic viewfinder. So with the Nikon, coming from Nikon, I was not used to, you know, EVF. I'm used to taking a photo and basically looking at the photo and changing my settings to match the exposure that I want. But now with the Sony, I can actually look through the EVF and be able to see an exact or close to exact look of what the photo will look like when I take it. So that allows me to take less photos and do less test shots to just before basically starting to shoot. Because normally when I go on shoots, the first thing I do is, you know, start to get my settings right. So I think that having an EVF and being able to see what the actual photo looks like, that allows me to be able to quicker get my settings in place. Also, I would say the eye autofocus makes things a lot easier as well, because as I said, I had a Nikon D750 and it has I had a Sigma 85 1.4 for portraits, right? That 1.4, I don't remember if I've shot at f1.4. Maybe I don't know if I've ever used that for like a client work. I maybe tried it a couple times and then switch over to like 1.8 or 2. The reason for that is because I didn't trust the focus that well, you know. So being able to, at the click of a button, I can switch to eye autofocus to focus on a person's eye and be able to take a photo and be sure that that photo is in focus. It's very good. So it makes the camera a lot easier to use, or you know, to get my photos, to get my videos, because of the eye autofocus. So in conclusion, I switched from Nikon to Sony because I'm now a hybrid shooter. I am not saying Sony is better than Nikon, because in some instances I actually preferred my Nikon as opposed to this Sony. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, as this helps my channel a lot. Don't forget to hit the bell to be notified for future videos, and thanks for being here. Thanks for your time. See you again in the next video. Peace out. Say bye bye. Say tata. Say bye bye. Look. Say bye bye. Bye bye. You tell him bye bye. Tell him. Say bye bye.